Megan.
Hi, Megan. Brian Wilson.
Hi, Brian. How are you doing today?
I've been better. I've been worse. What's up?
Well, I'm just reaching out. Sorry, I was out of the office last week, but I wanted to follow up with you today. The managers were made aware, I guess, of a situation from Friday that they just wanted me to follow up on and kind of get more details surrounding. But it was brought to their attention. I know in the past we've talked a little bit about your medical situation, and it was brought to their attention that there might have been some sort of like leakage or something in relation to that medical situation on Friday. So I just wanted to follow up and see kind of if there was, what happened, if there's anything that, that we can help with that on our end.
There was a little bit, and as I remember telling you before, I do everything I can to avoid that because it is basically an open passageway to my bladder that it exits my stomach. And
Okay.
I do everything. I'm supposed to have a installed valve in there, but they're like a natural valve, like I would have, but that proved to be impossible. Medically impossible. I was a guinea pig for this surgery, basically. I do wear I call them industrial strength maxi pads, which is the largest, thickest
Yeah, I
ones.
think you mentioned that last time.
Yeah, but there is going to be leakage, for the rest of my life. There's going to be a little bit leakage. There's nothing I can do about it.
When that happens, do you immediately, tend to that and get things cleaned up? Because I think maybe one of the concerns was that it
Yes.
kind of, stayed that way for a while, and people were even like seeing it like on the floor.
Yes, if I know about it, yeah. But I think I remember telling you also that there's times I just don't know, and some will come out.
Okay.
Quite literally.
Right.
I mean,
But
if it
but
does,
again, when you as soon as you do, notice it, you do, remove yourself to go, do whatever you need to do for that.
yes, I do.
Okay. And do you generally like have a process in place for like, if it did get on the floor or chairs or whatever, do you have a process in place for how you kind of clean up after that?
Grab a rag and wipe it up, I guess. I don't
Okay.
know quite what you're asking. I don't think.
Well, again, I think the concern was I don't know, how it got, there was potentially a client that had noticed it as well. So I think the concern was just, we want to find a process in place, that, again, I understand you may not, be aware of the second that it does happen, but I think we just want to make sure, going forward, if there is ever something like that, it is being, cleaned up and everything like that, as soon as possible. And I don't know to what extent, but, someone had also mentioned a concern of maybe, I don't know if they've like seen it or thought that they've seen it. I know people, also it's easy to assume something if you don't, know the details surrounding it. But is that something that you've ever like, tended to or changed while you're at the front desk?
How would I tend to it at the
Always.
front desk? I mean, I literally have to lift up my shirt and stick a plastic tube in my stomach.
I'm just trying to get more details is all. Like I said, the concern, was brought to DFR's attention, and I've just been directed to kind of get more details surrounding that is all. Someone had mentioned possibly seeing you, change it, but again, that's why I said they could have been, misunderstood since they're not, educated on the situation.
No, okay. What it is it's the maxi pad and Metapore tape. It's the stickiest tape you can buy. I tape one end of it to my stomach. Unfortunately, the other end's got to hang free because of the way I'm built and the necessity of it. And it's tucked in, right, to my pants. Well, occasionally it comes out or comes, if you sit down, imagine if you tape, say, a piece of yarn next to your navel, a 12-inch PCR next to your navel, and then you sit down and stand up a few times, it's going to work itself out, or it's going to work itself part way out. It might be visible, or it might make a bump in your clothing or something. I have tucked it back in, but as far as changing it out, no, not at the desk.
Okay. And see, that's why I just wanted to, get your side of what happened, especially since I don't work out of the office, to be able to see those, sorts of things. So I always, like to follow up and make sure that, we're getting accurate information. Okay. I know we talked about, I know you said previously, you check it every hour or so. Is there anything else? Because, at the end of the day, we do need to make sure that if there is any sort of, leakage or whatever we have you that, that is being taken care of. Is there anything that you can think of that, could help alleviate any, of those pressures or stresses at all? I know you mentioned last time, not really. You just have to keep an eye on it, but.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going to go a little bit left of center with this, but I don't see why they're bird dogging me on it, so to speak. I get it, what they're saying, it's a distraction, but still.
No, I don't think it's necessarily a distraction that they're concerned about. I think it's the possibility of, urine being on either the floor, the chairs, or, your pants, whatever, wherever it might be. I think that's more of where the concern is coming from, and just making sure that, we're keeping, the front desk, cleanly and, hygienic for everyone. I think that's where the concern is. Not that you have to check it or, take steps to change it, nothing like that. I think it's more just making sure that we're, able to keep the office as, hygienic as possible, and what we can do to kind of help manage that, if anything.
I do the best I can with what I have. That's all I can tell you.
Okay.
I have a neurological disease now, and if anything, that's going to get worse.
Okay.
Chances are by this year I won't be walking on my own. So what's going to happen then? And something I wanted to bring up, especially in light of this, when I was hired, I was led to believe after 90 days I would be trained and moved to the back. That hasn't happened. I mentioned it as an aside, and they said no room.
Yeah, who, do you recall, was it the managers that told you that, or who told you that?
I don't remember. I do remember it being brought up, though. It wasn't being brought up as a definite thing, but it was brought up like, hey, after 90 days you can take more training and move to the back. If they don't want...
we do...
Can I finish, please? Coming this far from my house for $10.80 is pushing it. I took the job based on that. Can you move me closer to my home?
I'm sorry, what?
Can you move me closer to my house? To an office closer to my house? I live in Peru.
It would just depend on what, I'm not sure of what, I would have to look and see. I'm not on the recruiting side of the house, so I would have to see what positions are available. But ultimately that would come down to if there's a position available, at an office that you'd rather commute to. And then also so generally that process, and I think we've kind of talked about it before, is like your current office would have to basically approve like the start of a transfer, and then whatever office you're interested in, there'd have to A, be a position available, and then B, that manager, would also have to agree to the transfer. So if you want to take a look, on our website, under the DFR position specifically, and see if there is an office that's closer to you or that you would rather commute to, we can always look into that at any time. It'll just be up to the discretion of each of those offices managers, kind of, when that gets approved and how, long that process would take.
Because I knew as soon as I got your email what this was about. And I got to tell you.
If you move office too, you that, we still would have, similar conversations if something,
Right.
were to happen.
I
But
understand that, but it seems like they're just looking over my shoulder waiting for stuff. I don't know.
I don't want you to feel that way. And I think the biggest concern here is just, like I said, a client had made a comment and, asked about it, and it got brought, back to the DFR's attention. So ultimately, that's why, we had to do our due diligence to follow up. Again, it's not, that because you have to, step away from the desk at times to take care of that. It's just, trying to manage, how can we manage, urine or and bodily, fluids not leaking, onto DFR, surfaces, and the other thing I wanted to say too before I forget, because we kind of got back on the other topic, but as far as the 30 days, I've never heard, it was 90 days, moved to the back. I've always heard managers or, the recruiters talking about how, it is an option and a possibility definitely to, promote within. And we do have a lot of EAs and ESs who do promote up and eventually to the state. I've never heard anything about, a 90 days surrounding that. So yeah, I'm not sure if that came from the managers or where exactly that came from. But that I know that is something that they will talk into fairly frequently, because that does happen frequently. Every year we have hundreds of promotions due to those reasons. I've just never heard a time frame of 90 days put on it, so I'm not quite sure where that came from or who said it. But if you remember or recall, let me know, because I can follow up with them too to make sure that they have the correct information.
Yeah, I kind of save all my calls on a hard drive, and I don't want to go through them all, figure out who said what. So, honestly, it wasn't moving up to a state job. It's just moving up to an ES, which would be in Beck, which was what I kind of wanted to start with. But
right.
That's okay.
And, which I understand. We have a lot of EAs who do that. I've just never heard a 90-day or 3 month. I've never heard a timeline put on it. It's generally just up to the office / the particular individual, and if they feel that they're ready for that step.
Okay.
All right. Well, I will follow back up. I'm not going to obviously go into super specific details with DFR, since, we're your employer. That's not my, I don't want to share anything that you don't want me to. But are you okay if I just generally, follow back up with DFR and let them know? And then if there's, anything else that I need to communicate to you or follow up on, then I can do that. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, I guess, but they need to understand that that during the interview I had told them about this, and I said it happens sometimes. I need.
And again, I don't think the issue is the actual condition or situation itself. I think the concern is just with the fluid.
Well, that's going to happen. That's part of the condition. Fluids get. They don't just put themselves in the garbage can.
Maybe we just need to work together, and how do we, how do we clean that up after the fact? Do we sanitize that? Maybe what steps? Because I know on that level you just kind of were like, I just, wipe it up with a towel. I don't know, maybe DFR wants us to, take additional steps and, making sure that area would be, cleaned up should that happen in the future. I'm not sure. Yeah, I was just doing the initial, follow-up and see kind of get additional details. But so I guess as a heads up, maybe that is something that they would request, as a workaround. Hey, we understand that this might happen. Continue to keep an eye on it, but if it does happen, here are the specific steps we, should be taking in order to, clean the area back up. I don't know. It's just maybe that's something that they would do.
All right.
Okay. I mean, I know it's a tough situation, especially when it's something, out of your control, and you are doing the best that you can. But again, we want to make sure too that, everyone in the office is also feeling, like they're part of, a cleanly environment. And I don't know, the details surrounding that, but I don't know how much, just wiping it up with a rag or a paper towel or something is actually cleaning the area. area. So we'll just kind of go from here and see. And like I said, if CFR does want us to look more into that or come up with a game plan for if that happens, then we'll just work together and, figure out what works best is all.
Okay, but I can tell you it'll probably more than likely happen again.
Okay.
I
Well,
mean, I'm not going to do it intentionally, of course, but.
Well, right, of course. And I don't think any part of that, is intentional. Again, I think that they're just wanting to make sure that if there is some sort of leak, of course, if we can prevent it, great. But if not, I think maybe they just are wanting a process in place because I'm sure this is, new to them. They're not, educated on the situation or what all it entails. So it might just be, a matter of, kind of educating them on it and seeing like, if this does happen, what do you want us to do in order to make it, okay again. And if that's, having sanitizing wipes or something to just clean up the area instead of just a paper towel, then that's what we'll do, and we'll move on from there.
All right.
Okay. All right. Well, if you do find, any positions in another office that you're interested in, let me know, and we could talk about that further as well. But otherwise, I think that was all that I have for you right now.
Okie doke.
All right. Well, thank you for giving me a couple minutes. Let me know if you need anything else, okay?
All right. Bye-bye.